I'm going to take a look at a very old MRE, or meal ready to eat, today. This one I know cannot be any newer than 25 years because I got this back when I was in the Army, and I got out of the Army in 1989. I was actually issued this one, along with a few other ones that I saved, thinking I would eat them someday, and through various moves and storage situations, they just stayed around, and now they're very old. At least a quarter of a century old. There's no way to tell by the bag. There's no date codes stamped on these like they are nowadays. Like this newer one here has a date code right here, showing that it was packaged in 2010. But these, one of the days when they have them, so you actually have to open it up to figure it out. You can get some hints by the menu by going to MREinfo.com. And first thing I want to say before even opening this is, for anybody who's interested in buying MREs, which I'm assuming if you wanted to buy MREs, you want to buy them to eat or to store for the future or stockpile or whatever, do not buy anything in these dark brown bags. These were the bags that they used when they first introduced the MREs in the very early 1980s, and they phased these out in 1996. In 1996 they started using the tan bags. There's, I mean, that can still be pretty old too, but if you buy something in one of these brown bags, you know it's going to be, at the very least, getting close to 20 years old. This one here, I don't know if you can read this. They had the dark brown bag, and then they had black writing on it. It says, meal ready to eat individual. This is menu number 1, pork patty, with Accessory Pack D. And it was packed by the Right Away Foods Corporation in McAllen, Texas. Now, a quick look at MREinfo.com shows that the pork patty was one of the original MRE menus. So this one could be from anywhere from, I know it's not that old, but it could be anywhere from 1981 with the original MREs right through 1987. 1987 was the last year that they had the pork patty. So it's over 25 years old, at least 27 years old, because we're in 2014 right now. So let's go ahead and take a look inside of this one. They didn't have the peelable seal that they have now. They just had a little notch, so you can just tear it open. But just to make it a little less messy, I'm just going to cut it open. And the good news is there's no smell in there. It's slightly musty, and it smells like it's been stored in an attic, which it has been. But there's no rotten food smell, which is a very good thing. You can't really see in there. Let's take this out and see if we can figure out exactly how old this one is. It's pretty amazing to think this stuff has been in here for 27 plus years. And it doesn't really show any age. I mean, obviously it's been sealed. Nothing showing any leakage. Good thing about this is that it had a couple of freeze-dried elements, so you're not going to worry about those really going bad. But here we have the main entree. This is the cooked pork patty, freeze-dried. Kind of hard to see that, but that's what it is. And they didn't put the nutritional information on back then, but this is only 1.2 ounces. So a lot smaller than the entrees they give you now that are about 8 ounces. Oh, and we actually have some applesauce, which is not freeze-dried. This will be interesting, because the freeze-dried one, you know pretty much that it's going to be good, because it can't really go bad, but this should be interesting to see what this looks like. We have crackers. That's all it says on this package, but just plain old crackers. This is one of the few things in the MREs that really have not changed much at all in the 25, 30 years since they were first introduced. This cheese spread. I did one MRE from this era before, and the cheese spread was starting to come through the packaging. This actually looks like it's in very solid shape, so it should be interesting to see what this looks like. They put these pouch stands in, something that you could eat them out of. You open up the pouch and put your entree in here and You could eat it out there. I guess that would help if you heated it up, but this is before they had the flameless ration heaters, so there's no way inside of the bag to heat this. There's a cocoa beverage powder. It's another thing that really hasn't changed much since the old days. I have a feeling this is going to be just fine. And this was a prize right here. Cookie bar, chocolate covered. I mean, this, to me, I mean, I had a sweet tooth, and I don't know how it was for everybody else, but for me, this was what you wanted to get in an MRE. You know, you get the entree, it's this freeze-dried pork patty, whatever. But the chocolate-covered cookie bar was a prize. It's very, very solidly in there. And we have the accessory pack. This one has coffee, cream substitute, sugar, ketchup, salt, chewing gum, matches, and toilet paper, so nothing really very special about that. But some of them had candy in them, and that was what made them special. And this old MRE spoon. It's quite a bit different than the new brown ones. And it's pretty dainty in comparison to the modern ones. I was going to say pretty flimsy too, but it's not that bad. And I wanted to check the date on this one. Even though there was no date code on the outside, there should be something on most of the packaging, even back then. Not seeing too much. I think I'm going to have to go by one thing that I just saw. Yeah, it's interesting, not much here at all. Cheese spread should have something on it. Oh, yeah, here we go. It's like 6031. I mean, there's letters, other letters and numbers, but I'm going to guess that that's the date code. Nothing on the crackers. Yeah, the crackers are showing some signs of, wow, this is weird, it almost looks melted here. I thought it looked fine, but that's not really looking all that great. Not sure what caused that. I mean, these weren't stored necessarily properly. They were in an attic that got pretty hot, but not that hot. Anyway, the applesauce is the only one that has a clear date code. 53, I think it's, well, maybe it's not as clear as I thought. It looks like 5346. Which would be the end of 1985. And then going by the 6031 on the cheese spread, I'm going to say that this was packaged in early 1986. So we're talking about a 28-year-old MRE, getting close to 30 years. And there's the contents of our MRE from 1986. Menu number 1, pork patty. You can see they didn't give you quite as much as they give you nowadays. I'm not sure what the calorie count was on this one, but probably less than what you get now. Alright, now comes the fun part, where we actually check out this stuff. So here's the nicely vacuum sealed, freeze-dried, cooked pork patties. Which I don't know how they pluralize it, it's obviously just one in there. Don't really smell like anything. It's weird, the plastic is a little, it's greasy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see that on my fingers. It's kind of strange that it'd be like that, considering it's supposed to be totally dry. And it smells exactly like I remember it. Vaguely meat-like. Basically it smells like dog food, I would say. It's kind of scary looking. I have done one video with the beef patty. It's basically the same sort of a thing. So I think what we're going to do with this one is we're going to do the same thing I did with the beef patty. And we're going to reconstitute part of it. And we'll try the other part dry. So let me just put that there. Put this in some water. Let's see what happens while we check out the rest of the stuff. Alright, here's the applesauce. Unfortunately, I just got the box wet and it just totally disintegrated the writing, so you can't really see that, but check this out. This is the applesauce from 1986. 28-year-old applesauce. And luckily, the pouch does not seem to have any damage. There's some white stuff on here. I guess this is some of the layers of the retort pouch coming apart a little bit, but just a little. We get, looks like we have a little date code on here, 5346. So the applesauce itself was actually packed at the end of 1985. And then put in the box at the beginning of 1986, I guess. It's hard to tell exactly, but let's check this out. Oh, God. That wasn't good. Ugh. You can see that in there. This is not looking that great. I'm not going to try this, I don't think. It smells vaguely like applesauce. It smells almost like a fruit bar. It's not a horrible smell. It doesn't smell rotten, it just doesn't smell quite right. Yeah, it's a very dark color for just a plain applesauce. I don't recall this ever being full of cinnamon or anything. I think it was basically just straight up applesauce, so I think we're probably going to skip that one. This funny little MRE spoon, the old style. I think these are the same ones that they had with the sea rations a few years earlier. Let's flip this. And we'll check out the crackers. Even after 28 years, you still have that nice hiss in there, meaning that the vacuum seal was effective. Well, the crackers haven't changed much. I have to say that it's pretty amazing that with new MREs, I can never get these things to come out in one piece. But even though this one's more than a quarter of a century old, you can see they're pretty solid there. And it just smells like a cracker. Nothing seems to be off on that. No rancid smell or anything. Of course, the cheese spread will probably be a different story. Give this a good kneading. Alright. Moment of truth. I'll tell you, it doesn't look, it's not the best color in the world, but it still smells like MRE cheese spread, maybe a little bit stronger than what you would normally expect. But not as scary as I thought it would smell. I don't know. I'm not sure what to say about that. Ugh. I mixed that up really good too, and it's still, I'm gonna have to give it a little try at least. Yeah, the cheese is kind of smelling up the whole room. More of a stinky cheese now. But now, hopefully, something good. The cookie bar chocolate covered. You know, there's some of these with nuts, and I think they tend to go bad after a certain amount of time, but... Ooh, that's strange. Let's see. smells like wax. Looks like it should, though. I remember these. The cookie is almost like a thick graham cracker. I always enjoy these. It looks fine. Doesn't smell too bad. All we have left is the cocoa beverage powder. Mix contents with 6 fluid ounces of water, 177 milliliters. And after 28 years, it's still cocoa powder. This is the thing I'm least worried about trying out. Alright, that's everything except for the accessory pack. Take a quick look at accessory packet D. You get instant coffee type 1. Cream substitute, non-dairy creamer, sugar, iodized salt. See, not much has changed over the years. Matches, which will probably still work fine. Yep. A little toilet paper, almost exactly the same as now, except now this printing on it doesn't have this strap around it. Chewing gum looks fine. And some powdered ketchup, dehydrated ketchup. Use dry or reconstitute. You might as well actually do that. It says you reconstitute by adding 2 teaspoons full of water. Obviously on the field it's probably easier, if you're going to use this, to just use it as a powder. Ooh, and it smells like ketchup. Strong smelling ketchup. Not really much room to mix this up in here, but you gotta do what you gotta do. There's your ketchup. Like magic. Now it's the moment of truth. Let's see. This is our rehydrated pork patty compared to its dry version. And I better try this baby out. Yeah, it's still pretty dry in the middle. I guess I didn't give it enough time. Let me see how this tastes. I'll tell you, I've done a review of the pork rib that they have, modern MREs. It's very salty. And the pork rib is basically like a McDonald's McRib. A lot of people find that incredibly disgusting. Some people who like McRibs find that appealing. I personally think it tastes very good. And I also think if you were to try one of these in comparison, I think you'd get a much greater respect for the modern pork rib. Let's see how it is dry. Wow, it's not appealing at all. But I think it's perfectly fine though. I guess we'll know in a couple hours or a couple days. But this is going to be a big help. Not so much to add to the flavor, but to mask the flavor. Yeah, it's just a little bit crunchy. I should have given it a little more time. That's a throwback to some other MRE flavors and some of the tomato-based meals. I remember eating these dry. It's not a very good experience at all. It seems like, despite the fact that it's meat-based, seems like the least dangerous part of this thing to eat because it was freeze-dried. Since we're here, I guess I better at least give this applesauce a little taste. And it's not green, I mean it's brown, but at least it's not green and moldy or anything. It's not. It's definitely off. Feels like applesauce, doesn't really taste like applesauce. Not rancid. It's just not something that seems like a good idea to put in your body. Probably the same deal with the cheese spread, but we'll give it a little go. Let me try some of this cracker. Tastes exactly like I remember them tasting. But this cheese spread is going to be a little scary. Not good. It tastes like it was cheese spread at one point. Yeah, that's bad cheese. I hope I can get rid of that taste. Cookie looks fine. It doesn't smell too bad. I mean, it's, like I said, sort of plasticky, kind of waxy, but they're always like that. The chocolate is meant to be shelf stable. It's fine. 28-year-old cookie. Yeah. You know, if you have like Easter candy, find one of those little chocolate Easter eggs a year later, and the chocolate is gone stale or whatever. That's what that tastes like. Sort of plasticky and definitely stale. And hopefully this will help to get rid of the applesauce, the pork, the cheese, and the stale chocolate tastes that are in my mouth right now. The cocoa beverage, which is good. Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's I was about to say it's exactly the same as what you get nowadays, and tastes exactly the same as it did back then, but ever so slightly different. A bit of an aftertaste. Not bad. I mean, it's fine. I'm sure everything. I have a feeling you could probably eat all of this and survive, but why anyone would want to, I don't know. You know what we'll do though, is we'll check out the gum for one last. Very hard. It looks fine, but obviously it's been sitting in there for over a quarter of a century. You know, it tastes fine. A great way to get rid of some of this. It's a very nice way to finish this meal. That was an in-depth look and a slight taste of a MRE meal ready to eat. Menu #1 pork patty from 1986.